How in the heck did I manage to get 19 interview invites with a 511 MCAT score? It has been a crazy hot minute. I wrapped everything up at work. Well, not everything, I'm still working on it. I took a mini vacation, I shipped all of my stuff, and then I hauled myself to New York.
So we have reached the gate and the seatbelt sign has been turned off.
And here we are. In the few days we've been here, we've already made a few changes to the apartment, as you can tell in the background. And I really hope you're all interested in that kind of stuff because I am super excited to show you. It has been really fun and it has been a great break from, a great distraction from the already rigorous MDPhD curriculum. While this was my experience and the decisions I took were right for me, they may not be right for you. So please, please, please talk to your mentors, to your Premed advisors, to admissions reps, to whoever who actually has a clue about how admissions work. And second disclaimer is that a 511 MCAT score is a great score. I was legit excited when I got this score. Do not be discouraged by anyone who tells you it is not a good score. Now, what you're here for. What did I do to receive 19 interview invites? So number one is I had a strong application for the type of program I was applying to, and that is MD-PhD program. And does that mean that my application was flawless? Absolutely not. It also doesn't mean that I would have achieved this outcome had I only applied to MD programs. What I mean by this is that I had a very strong research background. I had a summer REU under my belt and some research experience for undergraduates, and I'll include details of how you can apply and how you can learn more about these programs in the description. And in addition to that summer experience, I had 2 years part-time and 2 years full-time as a technician in a lab at my undergrad institution. And this doesn't mean that if you're interested in MD-PhD programs that you need 4+ years of research experience. You just need to have enough for you. Enough for you to be able to defend why you want to be a physician scientist, for you to be able to describe your research pretty thoroughly, and for you to kind of figure out what do you want to do as a researcher, what science are you interested in. You won't be able to find that out unless you do some research. Something additional that I did do to both show myself and to prove to admissions committees that I had seriously explored and really do want a career in clinical medicine was take an additional gap year than I had originally planned. During this gap year, I volunteered at a binational clinic in Tijuana. That's where my parents live. And I also volunteered as a Spanish interpreter for the student-run free clinic at my local medical school. Interpreting was very meaningful to me. When I first signed up for it, I didn't know that it was going to be this meaningful. I knew it was going to be ticking a box, but the fact that it was so meaningful shaped my thoughts on why medicine, and that really translated into my personal statement. It showed in my writing. What I mean by this is you need to find something, not just anything that will tick a box, but something that is individual to you, that you will enjoy, that you know you'll love, because it'll show. It'll show when you write about it, and it'll show when you talk about it. So the bottom line here, you need to reflect on what you've done and how it has shaped you. Is it consistent with who you want to be in the future? Examine those gaps in your application, but don't just do it for the sake of ticking boxes. Examine them for you. Is a career in medicine what you really want, and what have you done to show that to yourself? So back when I applied, did I think I had a strong application? No. Do I now know that I did have a strong application? No, I still don't know. I'm just assuming. But what did I do to make my chances better if I wasn't confident in myself? And what I did takes me to number 2, which is actually a twofer. I applied early and I applied broadly. I submitted my application to about 30 schools. I received secondaries for all of them, but only returned about 28. But the most important part here is that I returned all 28 of them within 2 weeks of them being received. And for those of you completing secondary applications right now, I'm sure you think that was crazy. How do you write 28 meaningful individual essays in 2 weeks. You know, if I did it while working full-time, I'm sure you can too, and there's tricks to this. You need to start pre-writing your secondaries even before you receive them. As soon as you submit your primary application, you can already start that. The way I did it was by accessing Dr. Gray's pre-medical headquarters secondary essay library, and I'll link that in the description of the video. My school selection was also a big factor in receiving all of those invites. I had a whole system to how I selected my schools, and I can go further into detail in a later video, but I think it's important to mention that I didn't look at the mean MCAT scores. I looked at the 10th percentile. If you look at the bell-shaped curve of MCAT scores of students that were accepted and of students that were matriculated into the program, a lot of the times students will go off of mean MCAT scores, which is right in the middle of the curve. What that doesn't allow you to see is how low of a score did someone have to get accepted in that program. So what was their cutoff in previous years? So this is historic data, right? It doesn't tell you what kind of decisions schools will make in the future, but if they once accepted a student that was down here, the likelihood of them doing it again is pretty high. The schools that I applied to, some of them, their 10th percentile, meaning their lowest scores, were 517, which was a lot higher than what I got, but I still applied, and I received interview invites to schools that had 514 as their 10th percentile, so that's already 3 points above my score. If I would have looked at the mean for those schools, it would have been a lot higher. I think they were in the 520s, and that would have definitely discouraged me. So I stuck to 10th percentile. I actually had it in my Excel sheet for how I selected my medical schools. So the third point is the most important. I did not disqualify myself. Well, I did a little bit in the beginning. I had so much self-doubt and so much anxiety and such a huge fear of failing. But the truth is, I wouldn't have known the outcome had I not, number one, applied, and if I hadn't sought advice. So I asked my pre-med advisor, my research mentor, a physician I was shadowing, a co-director of an MDPhD program at a conference I met, an administrator at the MDPhD program at my undergrad school, and I asked one of the directors as well. So of all of those people I asked, only one person told me to retake my MCAT, and I obviously did not want to retake my MCAT. So I took everyone else's advice, which was, honestly, they gave me confidence and they gave me encouragement, and sometimes that's all we need. The bottom line of number 3 is, don't disqualify yourself. You should let the admissions committee decide if they want to meet you in person. That is not your decision. Imposter syndrome is very real. That is why I applied to so many schools in the first place, because I didn't think I would get a single interview. Be realistic though, especially if you don't have the money to spend on applying to dozens of programs. But just please do not disqualify yourself. Alright, that is it for this video. Please like if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you'd like to know more. Okay, see you soon. Bye.